Okay, so let's say you're dealing with property damage. Maybe a burst pipe in the kitchen or a mysterious roof leak.
Or something really catastrophic, like the aftermath of a severe storm.
Right. You know that the initial damage, well, that's only half the battle. The real stress, it starts the moment you have to pick up the phone and file that insurance claim.
It really does. It can feel less like, a safety net and more like you're about to enter a negotiation.
An adversarial negotiation
Yeah.
almost, one that's designed to just wear you down until you take whatever they offer first.
And that feeling, it's actually rooted in reality.
Yep.
It's pretty much the central problem we found in the sources for this deep dive.
We're focusing today on Florida, right?
Yes, the Florida property damage claims landscape. And it's a unique place for this. It's a high-stakes, high-volume environment. Think hurricanes, tropical storms.
So the problem is magnified.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the core issue highlighted in all our material is this. The insurance claims process is just inherently complex. And if you only rely on the adjuster your insurance company sends out,
You're at a disadvantage.
a big one, you are statistically very likely to get an undervalued claim or even a flat-out rejection.
Okay, so that's the setup. Our mission for this deep dive is to get a really quick but thorough understanding of a professional role designed specifically to, well, to level that playing field.
The public insurance adjuster, or PIA.
Right. We're going to pull out the key facts, some, frankly, shocking figures from case studies, and the little nuggets that show how these experts actually work to get policyholders significantly higher settlements.
We're moving from the chaos of the damage itself to a clear path toward proper compensation.
So let's start with the basics. What is the service these public adjusters are providing?
According to the sources, it's laser-focused on one thing: maximizing your Florida property damage insurance claim settlement.
And this is for homeowners, businesses?
Both. It's for residential claims and commercial claims. They are, in essence, licensed professional advocates whose only loyalty is to you, the policyholder.
Okay, that distinction feels really important because if I file a claim, my insurer's adjuster, they promise to handle everything.
They do.
So how is a PIA fundamentally different? What do they do?
That's the perfect question, because on the surface, it sounds similar. But their advocacy shows up in three very concrete core benefits that really counteract the bias of the company adjuster.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first, and maybe the most valuable right after a disaster, is just peace of mind.
Which sounds nice, but what does it mean in practice?
It means they handle every single detail. The damage assessment, all the paperwork, the dozens of phone calls and emails.
All the things that are incredibly stressful.
Exactly. Our sources really emphasize that the sheer volume of documentation, estimates, forms, reports, it almost feels designed to create what they call policyholder fatigue.
They want you to get tired and just give up.
Pretty much. The PIA acts as a shield against that. They let you focus on rebuilding your life, not drowning in a sea of paperwork.
A very powerful strategy. So delegating the exhaustion. What's benefit number 2?
This is the one that gets the headlines. Maximize settlements.
The money.
The money. And this is where the real technical expertise comes in. A normal person, or even the insurer's adjuster, they see the obvious, visible damage.
A hole in the roof, a warped floor.
Right. The PIA knows how to identify all the recoverable damages. They know local building codes, which is huge in Florida. They catch hidden structural problems. And, critically, they find endorsements in your policy you didn't even know you had.
So they're reading the fine print that I probably skipped.
They are. And then they use specialized software like Xactimate to build these incredibly detailed estimates that show the true cost of repair. Then they negotiate aggressively based on that detailed scope.
So it's not just arguing, they're basically submitting a completely different, professionally backed project proposal.
Precisely. They replace the insurer's likely minimal scope with a comprehensive professional valuation of the loss.
Okay. And the third benefit?
Efficient claims process, which is really about saving you time and mental energy.
Because these things can drag on forever.
Indefinitely. In bureaucratic limbo. PIAs, because they've worked with over 50 different carriers, they know the game.
Yeah.
They know the stalling tactics, the deadlines. They keep the pressure on so the claim keeps moving.
I see. The sources also talked about a client-centered approach. It's not just technical skill, it's a partnership.
Yes, and that starts with clear and consistent communication.
Which is different from other service providers. How?
It connects to this idea of transparency. Look, insurance policies are written to be confusing. That's just a fact.
Tell me about it.
A PIA's job is to translate that dense policy language into simple terms. They explain the exclusions, what you need to do to meet conditions. You're kept in the loop on every offer, every counteroffer. You're never in the dark.
And that empowers you to make informed decisions.
Exactly. Which leads to the third part you mentioned, the collaborative approach.
Tailoring the strategy to what the client actually needs.
Absolutely. Someone who needs a quick settlement because they're out of their home has different needs than someone who wants to hold out for the absolute maximum value for a full rebuild.
The strategy changes based on the human goal, not just the technical one.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Okay, this is where things get really, really interesting. Because the true validation here isn't just the peace of mind, it's the financial outcome.
It's the bottom line.
And we have to talk about the data we pulled from these sources on how claims are just dramatically transformed.
This is the aha moment. These aren't small increases.
No. Let's start with the first one. Punta Gorda, Florida. After a tropical storm,
Okay.
the insurer assesses the damage, and the initial insurance offer was under deductible.
Which means zero. A payout of nothing. They're telling the policyholder, sorry, this isn't worth pursuing.
A total denial. You're on your own, your house is damaged, good luck.
A terrible position to be in.
So the PIA gets involved. The final PIA settlement for that exact same claim,
Oh, was it?
$115,000.
Wow. Which included a brand new roof plus other repairs. So if we do the math, the percentage increase from a $0 offer is plus 115,000%.
Let's sit with that for a second. That's
Yeah.
not a rounding error.
No. That's a completely different reality for that family. How does that even happen? How do they pull $115,000 out of a claim the insurer valued at absolutely zero?
In cases like this, it's almost always two things. First is scope creep based on building codes. Florida has very strict codes. The PIA probably found that the storm damage, even if it looked minor, triggered a requirement to bring the entire roof up to current code.
Which is way more expensive.
Way more. And second, hidden damage. Water intrusion, subtle structural issues the first adjuster either missed or, decided to ignore.
Incredible. Okay, case study 2, Key Biscayne.
Yeah.
A broken drain line in a multifamily building. So water damage.
Not a storm, a plumbing failure.
Right. And again, the initial insurance offer, under deductible.
Another rejection. You're on your own.
And the final PIA settlement.
Let me guess. Much higher. $225,000.
Wow.
That's a plus 225,000% increase. This really shows that the lowballing isn't just for huge catastrophes.
No, and that case shows their expertise in water damage claims. Those are notoriously complex in Florida because of mold, hidden leaks. They obviously argued for a complete professional restoration that the insurer was trying to get out of.
All right, one more. This one, the insurer actually made an offer. Pompano Beach, a kitchen fire and smoke damage.
Okay, so they acknowledged the claim.
Yes, the initial insurance offer was $40,900.
Which sounds maybe reasonable. It probably covers a quick cleanup, maybe a few new cabinets.
You'd think so. But the final PIA settlement came in at $185,000.
Okay, so that's a massive difference.
It's a 350% increase.
The takeaway from all these numbers is just so vital for anyone listening. Your initial offer, even if it seems okay, like that fire claim, or if it's a denial, it may be drastically underestimating the true cost of making you whole again.
If you accept that first offer, you are almost certainly leaving serious money on the table.
A powerful precedent.
So let's widen the lens a bit. What's the full scope of claims these PIAs handle, especially with Florida's unique damage profile?
Exactly. The residential list is extensive, and it's very weather-focused, as you'd expect. So storm damage, hurricane damage, tornado damage, hail damage, that's their bread and butter.
The big Florida events.
But also the day-to-day nightmares. They handle a ton of interior water damage claims.
Like a burst pipe.
Burst pipes, faulty appliances, a nagging roof leak. They're experts at tracing the water back to the source and documenting the full extent of the damage.
The sources also list flood damage. Now, I know that's usually a separate policy from homeowners insurance.
It is. But they navigate that whole ecosystem.
Okay.
Flood insurance often comes from the National Flood Insurance Program, which has its own very bureaucratic claims process.
So the PIA helps with that too.
Yes, they ensure claims are filed correctly under both the standard policy and the flood policy to maximize recovery from both systems, which can sometimes overlap.
And then there are the real catastrophes.
Right. Fire damage, and just as bad, the secondary smoke damage, and of course the big one in a humid state, mold damage.
Mold is a huge battleground with insurers, isn't it?
A huge one. Many Florida policies have really strict low limits or even outright exclusions for mold. A good PIA fights that by proving the mold grew as a direct result of a covered event, like a sudden pipe burst.
Ah, so they link it back.
They document that cause and effect. That's often the difference between getting nothing for mold and getting full coverage for remediation.
Now, what about for businesses, commercial claims? The risks there are so much more complex.
They are. They handle the physical damage, fire, storm, vandalism, but where they really specialize is in the operational disruptions.
You mean things beyond just fixing a wall?
Exactly. They're experts in business interruption claims. This is crucial. If your restaurant has to close because of a fire, your policy should pay for your lost revenue.
But how do you even calculate that? Lost future profits.
It's incredibly complex, and insurers fight it tooth and nail. The PIA brings in forensic accounting skills to actually substantiate those projected losses and prove them.
That is deep dive territory. Most business owners would just throw their hands up.
They do. And the other modern issue they help with is navigating cyber claims.
Like a ransomware attack.
Right. While the PIA isn't the IT expert, they help the business owner figure out if their commercial policy has any coverage for the financial fallout of that attack. They translate the digital loss into the language of the insurance policy.
Okay, so this huge scope of expertise, it comes from the team itself. What makes them so successful?
It comes down to their professional attributes.
Where?
According to the sources, they're all licensed and certified by the state, of course. But more importantly, they're committed to continuing education.
Let's pause on that. In Florida, the laws around insurance are always changing. Why is that continuous learning so important?
Because the rules of the game shift constantly. A PIA who is up to date can use a recent court ruling or a new regulation to their advantage. It gives them a massive edge when negotiating with an insurer who is definitely using the most recent legal interpretations to their own advantage.
It's the difference between using an old paper map and a live GPS.
That's a perfect analogy. And they combine that with deep claims knowledge and, just strong negotiation skills built over years.
And that experience shows up in their track record. The numbers are pretty impressive.
They are. We're talking over 1,000 claims adjusted.
That scale is important. They're not learning on your claim.
They have a massive library of past successes to draw from.
And that's translated into over $50 million received for their clients.
50 million. That number proves they're operating at the highest level of advocacy. They don't just win, they win big.
And they've worked with over 50 different insurance companies.
Which means they know the playbook for almost every carrier in Florida. They're not going to be surprised by some weird stalling tactic because they've seen it a dozen times before.
And finally, let's bring this all back to geography. The sources stressed local expertise. They list Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, all the way up to Brevard County. Why is that local focus so vital?
Because local building codes, flood zones, coastal wind ratings, they vary immensely from county to county, even city to city.
Oh, okay.
A national adjuster might miss those nuances. A local firm knows exactly what specific ordinance in West Palm Beach or Miami-Dade dictates how a repair must be done.
So they ensure the settlement is enough to actually complete the repair legally and safely in that specific town.
Exactly. That local knowledge is the final piece of the puzzle.
So when you put it all together, what does this mean for you, the person listening? We've looked at the critical role of these PIAs in this very complex Florida landscape.
We have. And we've seen how they can take claims that were initially rejected or lowballed and turn them into significant life-changing payouts.
It's just amazing to see a claim that was called under-deductible become a six-figure settlement. It really redefines what being covered actually means.
And that transformation brings us to our final provocative thought for you to think about.
Okay.
We've seen these dramatic increases from 350% all the way up to 225,000% when an expert advocate gets involved in a lowballed claim.
Right.
So that raises a really important question. How often might claims that are initially accepted by an insurer, the ones that seem pretty reasonable on the surface, still be settling for far, far less than the absolute maximum compensation you're actually owed under your policy?
So even when they say yes, it might be the wrong kind of yes.
It might be. This knowledge should encourage you to always critically evaluate that first offer, no matter how quick or fair it seems. You need to make sure you're getting everything you deserve under the contract you paid for.